Cool. So we're slowly getting there. We're starting to build up a real foundation for what this track's going to be. And obviously, with the bass line now underpinning the melodies and the drums, and with the vocals all working in tandem, it's starting to look like or sound like more of a track. Obviously, we're still really only working on a loop, and really to get out of that loop is the next step. Because then obviously once you start arranging things, you can kind of see where things can be improved or extra sounds can come in, variations, etc., etc. So something that I like to do at this point when I've got like a real solid sounding loop is just go ahead and just put down what I think might be the arrangement. And obviously this is subject to change as well, as with everything in music. But yeah, obviously we've started kind of in the middle of the timeline here, so I'm just going to take everything and move it one step this way. The reason I've done that is because it was a 32 bar intro, but I feel like there's space for a better story to be told. Music's all about storytelling, and the intro can really set the scene for that story. So sometimes we do like to go with 48 bar intros. I guess with modern music and streaming, tracks are getting shorter, not longer. But I would say don't be afraid to, if you feel like it needs it, don't be afraid to elongate things, even though people will say that shorter tracks are better for streaming algorithms. But we create music for ourselves first and foremost, not for Spotify. So let's have a go at that. So I'm just gonna take some melodic elements here and just move them. Actually, this opening bit could potentially be the opening 16. I'm just gonna copy and paste the melodic elements across. Drums still coming in after bar 33. And then we'll obviously need a breakdown. So let's just imagine we're going to take all of this, apply that at bar 113, and then again we'll just take the drop and just put that for the second drop. Obviously we're going to change a load of stuff along the way. We're not just going to leave it as it is. I'll just copy and paste the bass across as well. There we go, and just do the same here. Yeah, one thing I like to do is work in this collapse view. When you're trying to do arrangement, working in a collapse view is really nice because you can just literally, as you see me do there, just copy and paste or duplicate whole groups across. And this is why it's good to work in groups, because again, it just makes moving things around a lot easier. If you've only got everything in individual channels, obviously you can't do bus mixing and you can't move things around as easily. So using groups is really useful for that. So I think with this intro, we can do more on the music side. Probably what we'll do as well, just straight away, just get rid of this synth layers. Yeah, I just want to double check I was getting rid of the right thing. So I'm just going to get rid of this for the intro. And I think what we should probably do is add some more pads, really just thicken things up. So let's have a go at doing that, I think. And what I'll do is I'll just create a new MIDI channel. I'm going to take these chords across as well, just so we know we're working with the same progression. So yeah, we're going to just take some more pads. We're just going to go back to Kontakt. It's got so many good instruments in it, and it's really good for kind of quick inspiration. So yeah, I'm just going to see what we can find in this modular icons instrument. This is a really cool, simple instrument. It's got loads of cool sounds in it. So let's just kind of start playing. I'm just going to quickly solo this. See what we can find, basically. So maybe a bit too spacey. That one's quite nice, got some weird overtones in it. And this one, Atlantis, I think probably inspired quite heavily by the LTJ track. And it sounds bang on. So I quite like that as well. A bit of an ARP going. Yeah, it's really cool. I'm just going to turn that down a little bit. Let's just take that. Because it's also in a higher register as well. So it will sound really nice against the rest of the pads. Yeah, that sounds really cool. So I'm just going to take that and kind of do the normal affair with it. So we'll just get an EQ quickly, and just low cut it just to make sure there's no random rumble. And then what we'll do again, continuing the theme of creating movement, we'll just filter some of that as well. May bring that down and let that open up over 16 bars. And the sound is a little bit dry, so we'll just see what we can do here. So the cool thing about modular icons is they've just put a load of macros in there to make kind of just changing the sound really easy. So obviously it's 2 different samples playing at once, so you can change the balance between the 2. So we'll just start it at a bit where the fill is open. So you can hear this will be all B, which is kind of more sustain pad, and then you've got this really cool ARP on this side as well. So we want a bit of both. And obviously you've got effects section, but what I'll do is I'll use external effects. I always find it a bit easier to see work with external effects that you know really well. So yeah, trusty friend Valhalla coming out to play again. So what I've done there is just add a nice little automation sweep of the dry wet for the reverb to kind of let it fade out. We might keep it going for the whole intro. Let's see what happens as we kind of continue to develop and experiment. So yeah, that sounds really cool to me. So let's have a listen to that, and let's do stuff with the let's have a listen to that now. So what I've done there is just chop away the main progression as well. Obviously, you don't want things... I mean, sometimes you can have things running through the entire track if you're going to go for that real sustained roller feel. But obviously, yeah, again, we're trying to tell a story. We're trying to build up. So what I've done is just taken out the chords for the first 16, introduced them. New elements always create interest for the ear and for the user, you know, a bit of ear candy. So yeah, just by simply deleting and adding things at certain times is a really powerful and effective way of doing that. So that's what I've done there. So let's keep going. Let's keep building. I think potentially adding another pack could be quite cool. And maybe even switching up the melody as well a little bit, just so it's not all playing the same stuff at once. So I'm just going to copy and paste that across again. And for this one, maybe actually, I'll tell you what, let's get an instrument on there first. So we'll go for modular icons again. And let's have a listen again to some pads. I'll just solo this quickly. Let's try something random. Sounds a bit like a Dalek, that one. Bit of Doctor Who. And this one's called Lush Pad, and this one sounds really nice. I think maybe this one could potentially play a counter melody. So why don't we try and change this third chord in the sequence. So let's have a think. So we can go down to the D. Let's go down to the D sharp. So already that's sounding quite nice. I think maybe we can change the chord up even more. Maybe let's just move everything around. That's a really nice chord. Yeah, a lot of when I'm writing melodies, a lot of it is trial and error. Obviously, I have studied music theory. It was a long time ago, so I think there is some inherent kind of subconscious knowledge coming through there. But I just move things around so they sound good, basically. So that's a really nice chord there. I think we go for that. Just make sure that's yep. So let's listen to that progression. that's providing a nice counter to everything else. Let's just copy and paste that across and listen to everything in context. Start from the beginning. Yes, that's sounding really tight. So already now you can really hear how that story is starting to build up, and this is sounding a lot better. So let's just quickly name these channels so we don't get lost. Just gonna call this one Artpad, and call this We'll call this one Counter Melody, I think. Oh, can't type. Yes, this is sounding really cool. Let's just have a look, see if we can get some more out of this sound as well. Cool, so I think we can probably, I'm just going to reset the patch quickly. I think we can probably, so that was at 42.5. I think we can probably automate this LFO rate. That would sound quite cool. So I'm just going to do that. Just to get it at the default. And maybe speed it up towards the end of an 8-bar phrase could sound quite cool. And just go up maybe to like 60 or something. Let's maybe even do it a bit faster actually, so it's a more noticeable change. Let's go 75. We'll start. Cool. Let's just duplicate that automation across. Let's see what that sounds like in context. Cool, that's sounding super nice. I think that's probably good enough in terms of just building out that a bit more. We'll bring this LFO pad, I'm just going to change the name, it's probably better, LFO pad, across. I think possibly this fading out is quite a nice touch as well, because obviously then you've got drums and chords coming in as well, and there's going to be some clashes because we've introduced these new elements, but we can just chop things out and change things around just to keep that moving. Something that might be quite nice, and I don't know if this is going to work, but we'll try it because it's all about experimentation, is adding some strings as well. Get a bit more orchestral. And again, we'll just use Kontakt for that. We've got some cool stuff in here. Let's have a look. So we've got String Session Pro. Let's use that. And we'll go for a modded ensemble. And this is going to test this new M1 Max capabilities, see how many channels we can get in of Kontakt. I think let's use a counter melody as well. We'll bring that across. So this could sound quite cool. Let's use this after 16. Gonna drag that window back across. Yeah, I think we want it to be quite gentle. Yeah, let's go for warmth though. That's sounding really cool. And what we'll do, we'll just make it a bit more subtle. I'm just gonna chop a bit of the mids and the lows out, just so it's not so much a traditional string, it's more of an effect. I'll tell you what, we'll add some cool effects to it as well. Space Modulate is really cool. Same people that make Vintage Verb. This is a free plugin as well, actually, and they've got some really cool effects on here. Let's try a doubler. Let's just play that with the pads. And let's just add a reverb as well. Keep everything nice and atmospheric. Cool. Let's listen to the full. Cool. So there's a bit of a drop in energy there, so we'll work on that just to make sure it's a bit more of a smooth transition. And it was also a bit of a clash, I think, with one of these chords. I think it's this Diva one. So what I might do is just get rid of that initial hit. Yeah, I think that was it. So let's just copy that across. We don't need that yet. And maybe when things drop out, we can bring the extra chord back in. Also, let's just, I think adding a delay to this could be quite cool. Yeah, that sounds really nice. Cool. So one thing this is definitely missing is some effects, which are really handy just for kind of denoting where you're going to go from one section to another. Obviously in drum and bass, or in electronic music in general, 4/4 music, we work in kind of 8 and 16 bar loops, and quite often you'll hear something towards the end of that phrase which kind of signifies to the listener that we're going to move to another section. So I'm just going to start bringing some effects in, just to see if we can help keep things moving a bit more smoothly. So I've just got a reverse cymbal here. Let's just make sure that's going to actually hit on the end of the bar 32. Yeah, so sometimes with Ableton it'll just warp things a bit weird, or put things in a weird place, so you can just simply nudge that along. Just make sure it's not so already you can hear that sounds a lot smoother. So we've got a few effects actually. One other thing that we can do just to add a bit more, I guess, atmosphere. I'm using that word a lot, but atmosphere is really what it's about with our kind of music. It's a bit more texture. There's a little vinyl crackle sample. And again, this one's got loads of low end in it, so I'm just gonna take some of that out. Maybe just make it. You want it to be quite subtle. Also, whilst we're here, we'll just bring these strings in a bit more. They're quite sudden. So actually, I'm just going to bounce this to audio. I'm going to turn the effects off and just bounce it to audio. So there's a couple of ways you can do that. I tend to duplicate, freeze, and flatten. But you can also just record it into any channel. So yeah, let's just bring those effects across. Just turn this channel off, and we can just add a fade here. I'm also just gonna nip a bit of the low end off of this chord as well. Just a little bit more. Getting there. We're slowly getting there. We're building up now nicely. So maybe again, let's go for a different effect into the second 16 segment of the intro. I've got a little rolling crash here, which could sound quite nice. It's going to be really loud. Yeah. So that sounds really cool. I think because it's quite instrumental, there's no drums. You can kind of have a more percussive effect in the intro. Carrying across. I think if we had drums coming in at 17, it would be a bit clashy. So yeah, I think this is probably a better shout to do when there's no drums. And of course, we aren't just going to put it in dry. Make of that comment what you will. We're not going to put that one in complete dry. We're just going to chop a bit of the low end off. And we'll space it out a bit as well. I'm just picking random modes at this point because you get interesting things from doing that. Do as well, just put a little subtle fade on that. And so we turn it down a little bit, and actually we can put let's put a delay on there. Delays always sound cool in reverse crashes. Quite a fast delay, I think. I'll go for 1/8. Bring the cut up off. In fact, sorry, let's go to the dub delay. It's my favorite one. Maybe just bring the feedback up. It'll be subtle. You probably won't hear it in the mix, but it'll definitely help. There we go. Cool. So we're getting there now. Let's just continue just to build out the rest of this intro effects. So we've got drums coming in. So what should we do here? Let's add another riser. Yeah, don't want to get too spammy with effects, but little one-off incidentals are really thing. That's kind of like the final 5% of a tune that just makes it a bit more interesting. So we've got a melodic riser here. Let's just see what key that's in. Let's turn it up a bit so we can actually hear it. Alright, that just sounds a bit too sharp. Let's go down 2 maybe. again, quite subtle because melodic, so you're not going to hear it too stand out in the mix, but it definitely just helps. And that's actually, I think, something we can repeat. Let's repeat that one, because that's a really cool sound. I'm just going to put it all the way across for now. And I tell you what, we'll do the same for the reverse cymbal as well. Just bring those all the way across. See what they sound like together. I think for the drop itself, we can probably add one more in, just to make it a bit more significant. We'll just add a white noise sweep in as well. Just for safety, just apply EQ, low cuts for everything basically. Okay, cool. Let's start to think a bit more now about how we're going to transition from section to section. So I think at the start we've got a really nice kind of vibe bubbling, but I think at certain points it gets a bit janky. So let's just go through it and see what we can do. I think straight away, let's apply some filter movement to this sound. Sometimes it's okay to have things coming in straight away, but I think because we've kind of got this slow building vibe going on, let's add a filter to that as well. Maybe not 32 bars. Oh, sorry, let's maybe make it 8 bars. So it might be an idea to carry the strings on. Let's just make sure I remember that's the string channel. I think it's probably an idea to carry that on. We can fade that out as well. Let's see what that sounds like with this. We'll apply a fade here. Definitely needs a filter though. Let's filter the strings down. Could be quite cool to actually fill this whole thing down as well. Again, we're just experimenting and see what we can do here. I think the chords coming down with the vocal coming in will give it more presence. Let's see. Cool. Slow progress, we're getting there. So I think with the synths as well, they're moving around quite a lot, but let's see what we can do here. Cool. That's sounding a lot better. I think with this new progression as well, let's see what that does.
Could it be that I'm searching too hard? I wish you'd come and find me. Won't you come and find me?
So what I'm listening out for is just any clashes, because we've now got so many things happening. And I think most of it's sitting together quite nicely, but actually, yeah, there's going to probably be some clashes, and I think they're probably in this synth layer. So I'm just going to look out for those and see if we can just cut things out where they are going to clash. This sound here definitely feels like it's clashing a little bit. Maybe what we'll do is we'll just alternate that. We won't have it every 4, we'll have it every 8. So that should sound a lot better.
I've been chasing the moonlit star. I've been trying to be where you are. Could it be that I'm searching too hard? I wish you'd come and find me. Won't you come and find me?
Here now where we've changed things a little bit in terms of the chord progression, the bass isn't sitting quite right with it, so I'll just play these two. I'll just play these two and you can probably hear that. Yeah, I think this note can probably change, this G here. Let's drop it down to a D sharp. Sitting a lot nicer, and we'll just double check that against these two as well. And I'm just holding Command and click to kind of choose which channels I want to solo, because it's just a really easy way of checking which bits are clashing. So you could probably hear a little clash going on here as well now. Probably this one. Yeah, so what we can either do is, I'll tell you, we'll just get rid of it for now. Let's see what that sounds like. We'll get rid of it in the MIDI. Just see if that makes it sound a bit better. As well as a clash here happening somewhere. So that's fixed that. And now, of course, we need to go back. It's like whack-a-mole sometimes. Seems to have fixed that. Yeah, there's just a bit of melodic or sort of dissonant clashing happening with all the different melodies happening at once. So yeah, just simplifying the bass line and keeping the kind of nice chord progressions going, because that's really where the magic is. I think the bass is more, it's not the main character, if you like, in this track. It's more the supporting cast. So yeah, it had to take a bit of an L there, but I think that overall should create a much more gelled harmony. So let's just listen to the whole thing. We'll run it from 8 bars before the drop.
Won't you come and find me?
That's sounding pretty coherent to me. Now we can just think about adding some more interest and variations. I'm just going to start by doing really simple stuff, chopping away the drums, sort of for a bar at the end of the 16 bar phrase, because you can hear immediately what that does. It might be a nice time to reintroduce our friend the art pad as well. Let's see what that sounds like. So where were we? It should be here. Yeah, that's sounding good. What I'm going to do though is just take the first 16 where it fades in nicely. Bit laziness from me, but just saves the job. Whoa, okay. So I was going to suggest we could add a vocal back in, but I think by luck of a draw, some vocals kind of come back in automatically. I'm trying to see what that is. Oh yeah, it's a bit we chopped up earlier. So that sounded pretty cool. But what I did there was just, because we had this sound in the intro that kind of only was present for 32 bars. Almost, I'm not saying the users, the listeners are goldfish, but you know, you kind of forget about that sound. So just bringing it back in, and the way it's kind of got the effects, making it kind of get wider and open, more open as it progresses, sounds really cool. Because I think for the second 32, for us anyways, where we normally try to introduce bigger changes, so we try not to be too formulaic, but the first 16 is kind of the main body of the drop. You want some variation, and then you want some more variation again. We always try and keep things moving and progressing throughout the whole track. So yeah, I think this is quite a nice touch, having that ARP pad come back in, and then yeah, hitting that vocal again. So what I might do is just create a bigger gap in the drums, and maybe have another effect coming in here as well. Maybe we can go back to the crash if I can find it. Here it is. Let's add the crash back in. Just check where, yeah, it's making sure I'm putting that from the right place. Cool, this is going to need some balancing out because this bit's really loud. I might have to unfreeze, yeah, let's quickly unfreeze that. Let's just make these ones a bit quieter. Cool. So we've kind of got our big dramatic change here with the vocal coming in, and also the vocal itself gets a bit more energetic as well. So I think that's quite a nice touch. And we've got all the pads cutting out at the moment, so we might want to introduce something new there, but we can have a look at that in the next segment of kind of creating that kind of second half of the drop and continue to arrange and fill out the tune a bit more. But I think, yeah, for now we've made a really good start and turned this into a full track. So yeah, in the next part we'll look at developing the idea even further.